Blog Talk Radio.
Now let's set the record straight. There's no argument over the choice between peace and war, but there's only one guaranteed way you can have peace, and you can have it in the next second. Surrender. Admittedly, there's a risk in any course we follow other than this, but every lesson of history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement, and this is the specter our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy of accommodation is appeasement. And it gives no choice between peace and war, only between fight or surrender. If we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, eventually we have to face the final demand, the ultimatum. And what then? When Nikita Khrushchev has told his people he knows what our answer will be. He has told them that we're retreating under the pressure of the Cold War, and someday, when the time comes to deliver the final ultimatum, our surrender will be voluntary, because by that time we will have been weakened from within spiritually, morally, and economically. He believes this because from our side he's heard voices pleading for peace at any price, or better rev than death, or as one commentator put it, he'd rather live on his knees than die on his feet. And therein lies the road to war, because those voices don't speak for the rest of us. You and I know and do not believe that life is so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery. If nothing in life is worth dying for, when did this begin? Just in the face of this enemy? Or should Moses have told the children of Israel to live in slavery under the Pharaohs? Should Christ have refused the cross? Should the patriots at Concord Bridge have thrown down their guns and refused to fire the shot heard round the world? The martyrs of history were not fools, and our honored dead, who gave their lives to stop the advance of the Nazis, didn't die in vain. Where then is the road to peace? Well, it's a simple answer after all. You and I have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price we will not pay, there is a point beyond which they must not advance. Winston Churchill said the destiny of man is not measured by material computations. When great forces are on the move in the world, we learn we're spirits, not animals. And he said there's something going on in time and space and beyond time and space, which, whether we like it or not, spells duty. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
But we are making a stand, and we're waking everybody up that 9/11 was an inside job. And you are the minority. You are the cowards who don't know the truth. You're the people that serve this evil system. You're the people that serve a system that hurts innocent men, women, and children. Not just Iraqis, not just Afghans, not just Africans, but the people right here in this nation. You serve a new world order that attacks and feeds on you. And I'm here to tell you that you will be defeated. Your hours are numbered. We've got the energy. We've got the life force. All you've got is evil backing you up. All you've got is greed and liking to look at yourself in the mirror. Because deep down, the New World Order is a pot-bellied, chicken-neck ninny. And all the armor and all the weapons are nothing. You are nothing compared to good. You are nothing compared to life. And you will be defeated. I want the individuals out there, I want free humanity to turn themselves loose, to cut the chains loose, and to use the end of that chain to slap the New World Order right upside the head. You've got the power. You want to know who's going to defeat the New World Order? It is you. You're the individuals that are going to be able to defeat this system. You're the individuals that are going to be able to take down the New World Order. It doesn't matter if Ron Paul wins. It doesn't matter if they rig the election. What matters is that we're starting to stand up. We're starting to move. We're starting to find our legs. We're starting to build our muscle. We're starting to realize that we do have power, and we can work together, and we can take action, and that the naysayers are a pack of weak liars who have never had any successes in their life and who are upset and frustrated to see us beginning to have victory against tyranny. They don't have any respect for themselves. They don't have any vision, and they don't have any will. And they sure don't have any of the power that shines out of God's soul and energizes all life in the universe.
Looks good in S1. Roger. BCS arm switch is on. Okay, Victor. Landing rocket arm switch is on. Here comes the throttle. Circuit breakers in. We have separation. Inboard and outboards are on. We're coming forward with the side stick. Looks good. Roger. I've got a blowout. Neighbor 3. Pitch to 0. Pitch is out. I can't hold altitude. Correction. Alpha mode is off. Trim selected. Emergency. Flight calm. I can't hold it. She's breaking up. She's breaking.
Steve Austin, astronaut. A man barely alive. Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology. We have the capability to make the world's first bionic man. Steve Austin will be that man. Better than he was before. Better, stronger, faster.
Okay, everyone, my name is Joseph Gibson. We're on Blog Talk Radio. How's everybody doing tonight? Sunday evening, a little bit after 6:30 p.m. on the East Coast. We are live, 100% live. The call-in number 657-383-0616. 657-383-0616. And when you call in, if you would like to be connected to me, the host of the show, you must press 1. And then you will be connected. What happens when you press 1 is a question mark will appear next to your phone number. Nobody can see your phone number but me. Okay? So those of you who ask me that question, I don't want anyone seeing my number. Don't read my phone number. Don't worry. Which I understand. There's sickos out there, but other people are just flat scared. I don't know why. But I'm the only one. I have to see it. I have to know who's calling me. So I'm the only one that can see it, and I do not give your number out. I may say the area code to narrow it down because sometimes I'll have 30 or 40 numbers on my screen. So I have to narrow it down. So you have to understand that. But all callers can remain anonymous. I always ask that the person gives their first name. So, there's nothing wrong with going on a first name basis. But some will give their last name, but most do not wish to, which, like I said before, there's a lot of crazy, sick people out there. And trust me, I get the hate mail. We talked about this the other day. I get the emails. You're a Howard Stern wannabe. How am I a Howard Stern wannabe? He talks about pornography and stuff like that. We've never addressed those types of issues. Howard Stern wannabe. He must be from up north, that individual. But, or I'm an idiot, I'm a queer, I'm a girl, I've been called everything under the sun. I posted a couple of these comments on Facebook, these caters who threaten me, you're a scumbag, stuff like that. Oh, yeah. So when you go on the radio and you put yourself out there, this is what you come in contact with: dirt, scum, bottom dwellers who have nothing to do. When they can't find the porn site or they've been kicked off their porn sites and they don't want to look at little girls or little boys anymore, they start harassing people and, lashing out. And they're probably sitting in their grandmother's basement or their parents' basement. They're about 29, 30 years old, most of them probably. And they're sitting there in their underwear, okay, with a bag of potato chips in their lap, okay, and a beer in the dark in the corner of the basement, looking at pictures, naked pictures on the computer. And then they, prowl around, they troll around the internet, and they harass people like me. Okay? That's what you get. Those are your bottom dwellers of society. And you'll see them out and about sometimes. You'll see them walking in to buy a pack of cigarettes in the store, and you could tell who they are. The way they dress, the way they look, their appearance sucks. They're not well-groomed. They can't communicate. or you got your drug addicts, or you got your alcoholics, or whatever. They're the bottom dwellers of our society, and you must separate yourself from that element of society because most of them cannot and will not ever choose to be helped. Okay. Now, some of you may have family out there who are having problems. I know when I was younger, I wasn't an angel, but, I can understand people that are younger, and it's up to the older generation of their family to try to help them. But, however, when they become the age of, 30, 40, 50 years old and they're still doing the same thing, obviously it's time to put the cradle away, cut the umbilical cord, and say, hey, it's over for you, It was a loss. I'm sorry. You got to say goodbye. You got to cut your loss no matter what. Because you have to live your life. Your life is your life. And if there's family out there, like, for instance, a lot of Sunday nights we talk about family and friends, and we try to, address those issues. And I try to ask a lot of my family and supporters to come on, especially on Sunday nights, because, it's Sunday evening. I know you're not at work. And I know you're not really doing anything, especially most of my family, so why not, help each other out here, and we can open up a line of communication. I mean, you have outside listeners who are also listening to us talk. Why not? I mean, do you have something so important that you can't call in to your grandson or nephew's radio show? When I have a family and friends night or your friend's radio show, if you're that busy, then you know what? You're really not my friend anyway. If you can't dedicate 60 minutes of your time or even 10 minutes to call in and say, hey, how you doing? I'm just checking in. I like what you're saying, blah, 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 and that's it, and hang up. Hey, if you can't do that, then you know what? You're really, what are you anyway? And I do have a lot of those people who linger around in my life personally. They're worthless. All they are is leeches. All they do is want, and they never do anything to help you or try to offer any type of positive assistance. All they want to do is knock you down, gossip about you, and and God forbid if you were winning the lottery, they'd be right there. They'd be the first ones to standing at the door with their hand out, because money rules everything. Money's the God, and I have those types of people in my personal family, and I'm sure a lot of you out there also do, because that's the American way. Now, we talked about this on the show also. We talk about different cultures in society. Just look at the Mexicans who come over the border. Now, illegal immigration is a big issue in this country. However, I will give a lot of the illegal immigrants credit because they come over here and they work. And they all huddle together. They all live in the same house. And whatever money they make, they stick together. They're not out at the movies on Saturday night. They don't have their paycheck spent before they even made it. Okay? If someone needs a ride in their family, they will give it to you. All right? They stick together. They feed each other. So I will give them that respect. I don't support illegal immigrants because, look, we are a country of laws, and you have to follow the law. However, I understand their plight also because, they live in a country that is basically what our country is going to eventually look like because we, the people, the Americans who are originally here, are not going to straighten out our politicians or get off our lazy asses and do anything about it. Okay? So that's what we're going to eventually end up. We're going to end up like Colombia, Venezuela. We're going to end up like these places because we, the people, are not as great as we once were. We're not going to do what we once did. America used to be a very moral country. We stood for something. Today we stand for nothing. And like George Washington said, you must stand for something or you're going to fall for everything. Okay? Now, the Founding Fathers today, of course, are, they're scum, according to what the public schools today. But we're not going to get into that. But anyway, I put together a little soundtrack. It was emailed to me. I'm going to play it. It kind of addresses, some of the issues of today. It's not that long, so I'm going to try to look for it right here. It's only 4 minutes long, and it was emailed to me, and somebody requested that I play that. So we're going to go ahead and play it. And also, just to touch base, I asked a caller from last week to check in with us. I believe it was Mike from Minnesota. And hopefully he does check in with us sometime throughout the hour. If not, that's okay. But he did call in the other night. He made some points, and we were discussing. He discussed the Bible, obviously. He was trying to make a point of somehow, and he called in at the end of the show because we went the full hour and a half that night. And we kind of ran out of time, actually. So I invited him back tonight, and I also invited my friend Peter from San Diego, California, to come on because he has a doctorate in theology. And hopefully those two will come on after I play this clip, and they check in with us. If not, we'll just carry on like we always do. But I had Peter earlier, and he did promise me he was going to call in. Mike, I do not know. He's an anonymous caller. But he did make a point to call in last week, and I allowed him to have the airwaves for a couple of minutes. Unfortunately, we didn't get into more detail, or just maybe he wanted to make the point that he made and carry on. That's fine. I'm not going to single anybody out. But a couple of my guests that were on that night, they liked what he had to say, and I asked him, I said, would you like to come back on? He said, yes. So if he's more than welcome to call in throughout the hour that we're on tonight, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and play this clip, though. It's only 4 minutes long, and here it goes.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace to you all. My name is Saba Ahmed. I'm a law student at American University. I am here to ask you a simple question. I know that we portray Islam and all Muslims as bad, but there's 1.8 billion Muslim followers of Islam. We have 8 million plus Muslim Americans in this country, and I don't see them represented here. But my question is, how can we fight an ideological war with weapons? How can we ever end this war? The jihadist ideology that you talk about, it's an ideology. How can you ever win this thing if you don't address it ideologically?
Great question. I am so glad you're here, and I am so glad you brought that up because it gives us an opportunity to answer. What I find so amazing is since the beginning of this panel, which we are here about Benghazi attack against our people, not one person mentioned Muslims. We are here against Islam, or we're launching war against Muslims. We are here to discuss how 4 Americans died and what our government is doing. We were not here to bash Muslims. You were the one who brought up the issue about most Muslims, not us. And since you brought it up, allow me to elaborate with my answer. There are 1.2 billion Muslims in the world today. Of course, not all of them are radicals. The majority of them are peaceful people. The radicals are estimated to be between 15 to 25%, according to all intelligence services around the world. That leaves 75% of them peaceful people. But when you look at 15 to 25% of the world Muslim population, you're looking at 180 million to 300 million people dedicated to the destruction of Western civilization. That is as big as the United States. So why should we worry about the radical 15 to 25%? Because it is the radicals that kill. Because it is the radicals that behead and massacre. When you look throughout history, when you look at all the lessons of history, most Germans were peaceful. Yet the Nazis drove the agenda. And as a result, 60 million people died. Almost 14 million in concentration camps. 6 million were Jews. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at Russia, most Russians were peaceful as well. Yet the Russians were able to kill 20 million people. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at China, for example, most Chinese were peaceful as well. Yet the Chinese were able to kill 70 million people. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at Japan prior to World War II, most Japanese were peaceful as well. Yet Japan was able to butcher its way across Southeast Asia, killing 12 million people, mostly killed with bayonets and shovels. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. On September 11th in the United States, we had 2.3 million Arab Muslims living in the United States. It took 19 hijackers, 19 radicals to bring America down to its knees, destroy the World Trade Center, attack the Pentagon, and kill almost 3,000 Americans that day. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. So for all our powers of reasons and us talking about moderate and peaceful Muslims, I'm glad you're here. But where are the others speaking out? And since you are the only Muslim representative, in here, you took the limelight instead of speaking about why our government, and I assume, are you an American? You're an American citizen. So as an American citizen, you sat in this room, and instead of standing up and saying a question or asking something about our 4 Americans that died and what our government is doing to correct the problem, you stood there to make a point about peaceful, moderate Muslims. I wish you brought 10 with you to question about how we can hold our government responsible. It is time we take political correctness and throw it in the garbage where it belongs and start calling it fair.
All right. Well, that was a very good point that the moderator of that panel said. She's an American citizen, but yet the only thing she cares about is the Muslims around the world. Is she really an American? Yeah, on paper. So that leaves us with the question, what are these Muslims doing in America if they only care about the Muslims around the world? You know, a lot of people say, they're Muslim. They care about their brothers. Now, listen, if you're an American citizen, when you're sworn in to become a citizen, see, a lot of people don't understand that. When a foreigner comes into this country, they are sworn in when they become a citizen. That means you swear an oath to the United States and the Constitution and the American people that you live among. You don't swear an oath to protect the Muslims on the other side of the planet. And that was the point that lady was trying to make there at the end. Are you an American, she asked. She said, yes. Well, why don't you ask a question about the Americans? Why are you bringing up the Muslims? Okay? You see? And we can go about that to every single category of racial division in this country. You can go to the African community. They talk about black, Africa, the black people, Why not America? Why aren't you concerned about America? You see? America has lost its identity as America. You want to know why? For starters, you took prayer out of the schools. You have no God. You have no foundation. So therefore, you have no moral or family values anymore at home. You put the women into the workplace, the family. So the family's gone. Now the children have no supervision but entertainment, which is television. Oh, boy. We're in trouble now, because now they're growing up on TV and movies and video games. So what the hell do you think is going to happen? Of course you got wackos picking up guns, walking into school and shooting everybody, walking into movie theaters. Of course you got crazy things going on. You got people walking around. I've talked about it in the beginning. The bottom-dwelling degenerates of society. 38 years old, sitting in their parents' basement, writing threats on the internet to people they don't even know or know anything about. Okay, because we live in this social media age now, the information age, where we're talking to each other over the internet in a matter of seconds. Okay, there's no moral foundation anymore in this country. None. None whatsoever. So, so what do we do to correct the problem? But back to that little clip we played, the Muslim versus American problem is very huge now, especially in some sections of the country. And then you have other sections where you have the African community versus the Caucasian community in sections of this country. Here in North Carolina, I do not see, in my perspective or my opinion from being out in society here, too much of anything going on here. But if I was to go to Charlotte or Raleigh, I bet I hear a lot of news reports down there of division. Okay? If I was to go out to the Midwest, I hear there's a lot of Muslim activity out there with the mosques, and especially in New York City where they wanted to build a mosque right on ground zero where the World Trade Centers were brought down. So if anyone has a question or comment about that opening or that introduction, all you got to do is call 657-383-0616, and you press 1, and I'll put you on. 657-383-0616. I did try to promote the show the best I could this week. I didn't really put it on all the media sites. I know I have several supporters on the line tonight, and like I said, I did invite a couple people back for tonight's show, but when there's not a solid invitation or you do it in the heat of the moment, it's kind of hard to get someone to commit to call in at a certain time Because like I said in the beginning, it's hard to rely on your family or friends in today's society. Care about is money, and that's what they're chasing. Their own personal values, materialistic possessions, and money. Fake money, that is, paper receipts. But we're not going to get into that. But, that's basically what I was trying to get at in the opening tonight. The moral fabric and foundation of our society today, and that clip there took it at a national level. They were talking about, and if you remember in the beginning, they were talking about Benghazi, the Americans that were killed in Benghazi. And Hillary Clinton was the Secretary of State at that time when that happened. And if any of you are well informed, you know there were congressional hearings concerning that, and nothing ever came of it. I believe those judiciary congressional hearings are just a bunch of nonsense. They're a waste of time. I believe it's like a spectacular. It's like the second-rate movie. You know how you go to the movie theater and you watch a movie and a big show, and you're like, wow, that was a damn good movie. I think CNN and stuff like that, C-SPAN. It's like the bottom of the basement of movies. You could turn around and you're like, wow, look what they're saying. And it's really not real. It's all fake. It's all nonsense because nothing ever materializes out of it. It's a bunch of nonsense. But anyway, I spoke to a couple people tonight, that are supporters of the show. I spoke to Joe in Sebastian, Florida this evening, and he and I had a little conversation, not that long, and he was going to tune in tonight. And I was kind of hoping that maybe he might participate because he did give me some information tonight about his own life and what's going on. But it's not up to me to put that out there. It's up to him. I asked him if he would check in tonight and maybe, tell the other supporters out there what's going on in his life and what's happening. That's his choice if he wants to. But I'm just letting you know that I spoke with him. One of the supporters of the show. I'm not gonna. It's not up to me to put his personal business out there. But he gave me some information tonight that I was like, wow, really? And I'm kind of hoping maybe he'll share it with other people. If he doesn't want to, and he has his own reasons, I understand. But anyone else who wants to share tonight, the phone number is 657-383-0616. Press 1, and you'll be connected with me. If you're having problems or technical problems trying to connect, I understand. And other than that, we will end the broadcast in 60 minutes tonight. Okay? So I will carry on to the best of my ability, but like I said, I'm waiting for Peter to call in from San Diego, California. He has not done so as of yet, so he may not check in with us tonight. On the other hand, I also asked, I'm checking the phone numbers right now, so that's why I'm kind of stalling a little bit here.
George Washington.
And I just hit a button by accident.
Samuel Adams, First Chief Justice John Jay. Name some.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, guys, I hit the button by accident while I'm scrolling the phone numbers. I'm trying to find Peter's number to see if he's on here. I got about 28 numbers on the screen, and my screen only holds 10. So his number's not here. Okay. All right, so he's not on. So obviously he's blown me off tonight. Let's see. What other numbers do I got? Mike. I don't see Mike out there from Minnesota either. So obviously he didn't want to check back in tonight either. Okay. And let's see, who else do I got? I got the others here. I know who they are. Going down the screen. Nope, they're not here. So Peter, I guess I talked to him about 15 minutes before the broadcast. And I guess he decided he was not going to call in. Maybe he's having problems to call in. I don't know. But anyone else who wants to participate, if you got something on your mind, go ahead. Phone number 657-383-0616. If not, I'm going to start making my introductions a little bit longer. And usually when I do that, then people want to interrupt me. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start coming out with a program, some sort of programming where I'm going to talk about a certain subject, and I'll throw it out there to people, but I'm just going to go ahead and talk for the first 30 minutes then. Otherwise, my callers and my supporters, you kind of put me at a loss. Any other time, you don't want me to hang up the show or end the show. Last week there I said, okay, let's wrap it up, and then everybody at the last minute, no, I got something to say. Well, why didn't you call in 20 minutes earlier? You know what I mean? I got someone already, finally. Good. One of my supporters. Glad. He's trying to help me out. He's going to bail me out here. He's going to go ahead and check in with me. This is Mike out in Wisconsin. Go ahead, Mike. How you doing?
Hey, good evening, Joe. Everyone else that's online. Hey, I asked maybe we could do this sometime before Thanksgiving or something to, know the reason of Thanksgiving, or, it would be great if people would just call in and say what they're thankful for. People are come and go in this world so fast. My mother's gone. My father's getting older. And my sister's getting older. And of course, so is my brother. And the only one that's not getting older is
Mike, I brought that up in the beginning. What do I do on Sunday nights? I especially emphasize my family and friends to call in. And where are they? I know I get, a few of them on here, and they like you, and we get them on here to participate, especially on Sundays, because Sunday night is usually family and friends night. But where are they? Where could they be on a Sunday evening at 7 o'clock? I know many of them are not at work. So where are they? In front of the television set? I mean, what's going on?
Well, that's where I am. I'm watching the Packers play, but I'm still listening to your show because, I commit to it, so I do it,
I know you do. And Mike, let's give everyone an update. What's the Packers score by Minnesota and the Green Bay? What's the score of the game?
It just was 19-12, I think.
19-12. Okay.
Yeah.
Who's winning? No, who's winning?
Packers have 19.
Okay, Green Bay has 19. Okay. But go ahead, carry on your point about Thanksgiving, and I'll try to do that before Thanksgiving because I don't want to broadcast on next Thursday because I told you I was going to broadcast on Thursdays and Sunday. So
right.
You made a great point tonight so I can remind everybody who's tuning in tonight. I'm going to broadcast on Wednesday instead of Thursday. So it'll be Wednesday, and we're going to do it a little bit earlier, probably around 6 p.m. instead of 6:30. So, okay? Well, go ahead, Mike. Finish your point.
Well, it's just my point that, people call in just like you played that little clip there that, this one girl's worried about all the other Muslims of the world. I think they have enough problems to worry about. I think we should worry about us because we're not after the Muslims; they're after us. We're the ones that they're chasing. And
true.
So I mean, this is what I mean about America. They got they're kind of screwed up when it comes to freedom and loyalty and justice and, just like that other gentleman that called in last week, Mike, going down the 10 Commandments.
Yeah.
If you followed along, I mean, you kind of think, I kind of broke that commandment, and yeah, I kind of broke that one too, and yeah, I did that, and you're thinking to yourself, you think you're a good person, but life is life,
and that's the point he was trying to, and that's the point he was trying to make, Mike. Is he made we didn't actually we were talking about different topics that night. For some strange reason, he called in at the end of the show and started asking me, breaking that down, the 10 Commandments and everything. Why, I don't know. I asked him to come back on tonight. He's not here. Why, I don't know, but maybe in the future he'll call in. Who knows? Like I said, people say one thing and they do another. They promise me they'll come on here, and I say, hey, you got a voice, and I gave it to him that night. I said, okay, what do you want to say? And he grilled me. He's like, did you do this? Did you do that? Okay. And he made a but to give him his credit, he made a very valid point, like you just said, Mike. Wow, I broke that commandment. I broke that commandment. I broke that commandment. So am I really a good person and worthy of being, if there is a heaven, am I worthy of being in that heaven? Because maybe there's some people out there tonight that don't believe there's a heaven. Maybe they think they just go in the ground and that's it. That's the end of the story. But if you believe that, that's fine. You're entitled to your belief. But what if you're wrong? What if there is a heaven and hell, and where are you going? And that was Mike's point. Where are you going to go? Because you just broke all those commandments. And that was the point, Mike, that he was trying to make that night. And that's why I wanted to get Peter on tonight to try to, because I explained it to Peter on the telephone a couple of days later, the caller, and I wanted him to break it down in more simplistic terms, how Mike did it, and I wanted Mike to be on tonight too. Both of them did not show tonight. But you were there, Mike, that night, and so can you elaborate a little more on what you got from that phone call that night?
Well, like I said, he's a very religious man, and he's a very polite man too. And he basically trying to find out if you're Christian or not, if you're, like you said, a good person. And I guess the best way for him to start was the way he did, go down the Ten Commandments, see how well you do on that. And I don't know, it all depends, like you say, it all depends on what people believe. If you believe there's no heaven and no hell, then why should you worry about the Ten Commandments?
Yeah, you're right.
Right?
You're right. But Mike, like I just asked you, what if I am, like for instance, the Muslims? We're talking about the Muslims. They want to chop your head off because you're not a Muslim. So they really believe what they believe. And there's 1.2 billion, like that woman said, Muslims around the world, Mike, who actually hate you, Michael. They hate you. And they hate the Western civilization. And they hate Christianity. But the thing of it is, they believe in Jesus, They believe Jesus actually existed. And they make no sense. They double talk. And I've had debates with Muslims over the Quran years ago when I was in theology classes or in the other places I was in. And they were always, like, when they were backed into the corner and they were proved wrong indefinitely through their own Quran, they become violent. They become kind of like liberals. When you prove a liberal wrong, and like, for instance, these liberals out there, what do? They start calling you names. They start arguing with you, and they make no sense whatsoever, right?
Right.
Like Hillary Clinton, you get, or these moral values, they make no sense. Like, for instance, if you're trying to bring to, like, homosexuality, you're talking to a homosexual person or a lesbian, and they're like, God does not hate homosexuality. And then you point to the verse in the Bible where it says a homosexual is worthy of death. That's what God says in the Bible. It says it right there. They start flipping out and going crazy and calling you names. It's like, so they've lost the argument, but they won't accept it. And that's the problem. You see, with me in life, if you prove me wrong, I'm not going to like it, but I'm going to respect you more because you know what? I was wrong. And that's the problem with a lot of people today in society. They will not be wrong. They will not admit they're wrong, and they will not hold accountability. And I think that stems from the upbringing we're brought up with in the public schools, the governmental institutions. There's no accountability. And like other callers have stressed, the politicians, they're not held accountable for anything they do. I brought that up. Remember I said, what happened to the Benghazi hearings? What happened to Hillary Clinton? Why wasn't she prosecuted? What happened to all those email scams that we heard about 3 months ago, remember? You can't hear anything about it anymore.
Yeah, all of a sudden Paris gets attacked and couldn't get the get out of jail free card.
That's right. You see? And all of a sudden, you just hit the nail on the head. All of a sudden, Paris is attacked. Guess what? Nobody knows anything about those emails anymore. Hillary Clinton isn't in the news anymore. And everyone has forgotten about that email fraud that she committed. And so, what do we get? Lack of accountability. You, me, other people recognize these faults in our society and these crimes that are not prosecuted, and we're angry and we're upset. But You have the zombies of society. They don't care. They're just living day to day. They got next week's paycheck spent before they made it. They're getting high. They're doing drugs. They're partying. They're dancing. They're listening to the music. And, that's the other part of society. And then you have the other part of society that says, hey, I support you no matter what. And if it's wrong, I don't care. So, what do people like you and I and the other supporters on this show, or other supporters around the country or around the world who know what the hell's going on, what do we do? Just sit back and say, hey, there's nothing we can do about it. It's going to be the way it is. Or is Peter right? Remember the shows we had? Hey, there's nothing you can do about it. Prophecy is prophecy, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen. There's nothing you can do about it. The Bible says it's going to happen. There's nothing we can do about it. It's the end times. The world is going to get worse, worse, worse until finally the Antichrist comes and finally the end comes. Is Peter right? Where we're not going to change anything, because you said it yourself, Mike, and other callers have said it. Well, like, for instance, all right, let's take an example. My supporter in Florida, Sebastian, Florida, Joe, he's lived a long, long life. He's seen a lot of bullshit. He's seen a lot of corruption. He worked for the government years ago. Has anything changed but for the worst in his entire life? Has anything ever gotten better? No, it hasn't. You can't tell me it has. Nothing has gotten better since the day days I've grown up, and the days today. I could sit here and tell you things have only gotten worse. Things are more expensive. There's more people out of work. People are more violent. They're more rude. They're more disrespectful. The weather has gotten worse. I talked with Joe in Florida. The weather. The other day it was 82 degrees here in North Carolina. I was wearing a tank top. Tonight I'm wearing a winter coat. It's 42 degrees. So everything is going to hell in a handbasket. So
yeah, we got 12 inches of snow last night.
Wow. 12. And what part of Wisconsin are you in?
Southern part of Wisconsin. Yep.
Is that normal? Is that normal for Wisconsin at this time of year? Is it normal throughout
not
the way?
Not this early.
Not this early.
We usually have an inch here and an inch there, and stuff like that. But
and it melts away, and until the real winter kicks it. Yeah.
Usually you don't get socked with a 12-inch storm.
Wow. As I said, so basically things are going in hell in a handbasket. And we ask ourselves, and we look in the mirror, or we go about our daily lives, and we complain, but we have no one to blame but ourselves for the way things really are. And people will say, "Hey, you're crazy. I'm out there doing the right thing." Are you? Are you really out there doing the right thing?
But what we need, like in our country, and I'm not gonna, always praise Ronald Reagan, but Ronald Reagan was like the bully in the schoolyard. You're not gonna go out and go over and kick sand in his face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And other countries, we're not going to screw with Reagan because, he'll show us what's for. And
no. Ronald Reagan was a good president, and when he made waves, what happened to him? They got Hinckley in there, and they blew his chest. They shot him in the chest and tried to whack him. So, Ronald Reagan, and then he kind of went along with the policy. They said, hey, we'll let you look good, but at the same time, you're not going to disrupt our money. And what he did, Mike, in the early 80s is he appointed the Grace Commission. And if anyone knows about the Grace Commission, they investigated how much gold was actually in Fort Knox, and they actually found out there is no gold in Fort Knox anymore. So, Mike, you with me? You okay?
Yeah, I got a bad cold, so I'm just trying to...
Okay, I understand. But anyway,
whenever I cough, I try and put the phone
I understand. Well, I appreciate you calling in tonight, Mike, and and everyone else who's listened in tonight. We'll go ahead and we're going to broadcast on Wednesday. okay? It's going to be Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, okay? But, Mike, I really appreciate you checking in with me tonight, and you helped bail me out there in the last 15 minutes of the show. But we're going to go ahead and get ready to wrap it up. So, everyone else, I hope if you don't tune in Wednesday, you have a really good and happy Thanksgiving and a safe Thanksgiving. And like I said, tune in Wednesday. I'd really appreciate it if you call in and share your opinions and your thoughts and your stories. And like Mike said, talk about what you're thankful for in your life. If you're not thankful for anything, then maybe you need to turn your life around and do something else with your life. So anyway, good night, everybody. God bless. Take care. Joe Gibson. It's blogtalkradio.com/Joseph Gibson. Good night.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas. The first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
It was almost as if it were a planned implosion. It just pancaked.
Either you were with us or you were with the terrorists.
But I also believe that a lot of gun owners would agree that AK-47s belong in the hands of soldiers, not in the hands of criminals.
Voicemail box of